Today on Cook's Country, Julia makes Kombdi Jira Ghalun with onion raita. Jack shows Julia the wide world of honey. I talk about a condiment that brings the heat to the sweet. And Morgan makes a recipe inspired by her grandma's hot honey chicken. That's all right here on Cook's Country.
I was yesterday years old when I learned that cumin is not actually a seed, but a fruit. How about that? Well, it does explain why cumin has that almost fruity floral aroma, especially when it's toasted and ground. Now, Julia's here, and she's going to showcase a recipe for us that centers and celebrates all things cumin.
That's right. You're in for a treat because today we're making Kombdi Jira Ghalun, which is chicken with cumin. This recipe comes from the western part of India, and the cuisine there is known for their big, rich, elaborately spiced meat dishes, and this is a good example of that, but it is incredibly easy to make.
Sold and sold.
Yeah, and it starts by marinating the chicken. So we're gonna make the marinade. Here I have a little bit of ginger, about 2-inch piece. I'm just gonna peel off the skin, which I like doing with a spoon. There's no wrong way. I find the spoon works really well because you don't get a lot of waste. You really just get the skin off. Chop it up, add it to the blender. Next up, some garlic, 8 cloves. So I'm just gonna cut off the little sort of stem end. And now I'm gonna smash it with the flat of the knife and my palm. All right, now we're gonna add just a little bit of water. This is 1/3 of a cup of water. A little bit of yogurt. This is a 1/4 cup of whole milk yogurt. All right, now we're gonna add a little bit of spice. Paprika and cayenne. This is 1½ tablespoons paprika and 1½ teaspoons of cayenne. Last but not least, a little bit of salt, 2 teaspoons of salt. Now we're gonna whiz this in the blender till it's nice and smooth, about 2 minutes. I'm gonna stop the blender and scrape it down as I need to.
Okay.
All right. Watch the vapors. There we go. Now I'm just gonna set this aside for a second because while we have the blender out, I'm gonna puree just a few tomatoes. You're gonna coarsely crush them right in the blender. It also helps get any of the spices that are stuck down under the blades to make sure it gets in the pot. All right, now here we have that marinade. It's not a lot of marinade, but as you saw, it's potent.
Yes.
So here we're gonna add the chicken, and this is 8 large drumsticks. You could use boneless, skinless chicken if you want to. The cooking time's a little different, and you can find that information on our website.
Perfect.
Now you have to marinate these for at least an hour to get some flavor, but you can go up to 24 hours. And as always, the longer you marinate, the more flavor you get. So I'm gonna cover them with plastic and into the fridge they go.
Okay, great.
That chicken has marinated and it's time to build the braise. Using a nice big Dutch oven here, perfect for braising. I have a 1/4 cup of oil in there, heating over medium-high heat. You can see it's just starting to smoke, which is perfect. Gonna add an onion that's nicely chopped. And this is a teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna cook this about 5 minutes or so until the onions are nicely softened.
Okay.
Those look perfect.
All right.
Now in go the tomatoes that we pureed. All right, we're gonna crank the heat to high. We're gonna cook this tomato down until it's darkened in color, starts to stick to the bottom of the pot. Takes again about 5 minutes. Whoa. You can see those tomatoes have reduced down. Color's darker, it's starting to stick to the bottom and the sides of the pan.
Everything's getting better.
That's it. All right, time to add the chicken.
Okay.
Right into the pot it goes. And of course, I'm gonna add all of this marinade because that is really good flavor. All goes in. And of course, we need to add a little liquid to prevent this from scorching as it cooks. Just 3 cups of water right into the pot. I'm gonna take a minute to really scrape up any browned bits from the bottom and the sides of the pan, because that is just good flavor. You want that in the stew. So now I'm just gonna bring this to a boil. Bridget, this has come to a boil. Time to put the lid on. I'm gonna turn this down to medium-low. We're gonna cook this until that chicken registers 175 or thereabouts. Anywhere about half an hour, maybe a few minutes less.
Okay.
Now, while this cooks, You notice it's called cumin chicken, but we haven't added any cumin yet.
There's a huge ingredient missing so far.
Et voila.
Okay.
Here's the cumin. Now, the thing is, if you're gonna make this recipe, really try to buy cumin seeds and toast them and grind them yourself. It is such a big difference in flavor. You get all the nuances that the fruit has to offer. If you're in a pinch, of course, you can use pre-ground, but use the good stuff. So that's 3 tablespoons of cumin seeds, toasting it over medium heat until it's fragrant. It takes about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, you can see when it's done, and also you can smell it.
Paradise.
Now we're just gonna grind this to a nice fine powder. The cool thing is watch the smoke in the spice grinder. It's kind of hypnotic.
Ooh.
All right, this is ground and ready to go. We just have to wait for that chicken to finish. It's been half an hour, Bridget. Oh, the aromas have changed, right? Time to take the temperature of our chicken. Again, we're looking for about 175, 176. Perfect.
There you go.
All right, so I'm just gonna take these drumsticks out of this sauce because the sauce looks pretty watery, which is great because it meant that nothing scorched as it was cooking. Some extra liquid came out of the chicken, which just adds good flavor. And we're gonna reduce this liquid down to a nice thick sauce. Takes about 15 minutes or so. And by the end, the sauce should measure 2 3/4 cups thereabouts.
Okay.
All right, so we'll bring that to a simmer and let her go. In the meantime, let's make a little raita to go with our chicken dish. Raita is just a simple yogurt sauce. This is 1 cup of whole milk plain yogurt. Now, Greek yogurt need not apply here. It's too thick. You want the looser texture of regular yogurt. Also, no non-fat, no low-fat, full whole milk yogurt because you want that flavor.
Yeah, sold.
Into it goes a little more cumin. This is 3/4 of a teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon salt. 1/2 teaspoon sugar. There we go. Just whisk these together. All right, in goes a little bit of onion, 1/3 cup of minced onion, and a tablespoon of chopped cilantro.
Beautiful.
Yep. And that's it for this. We can set this aside, let those flavors marry while that sauce reduces. Oh, that looks perfect.
That looks
nicely
beautiful.
thickened. Now it's time to add the cumin. Sprinkle it right into the pot. Oh, gorgeous.
Spectacular.
All right, back in goes the chicken and any accumulated juices. Let me roll this chicken around in here, really get it coated. All right, that's it. I have a little bit of basmati rice on this plate.
I was hoping there would be something like that because there's a lot of sauce in
It
there.
sure is. Oh yeah, the sauce is just magic. There you go. Little raita.
Well, I have a feeling I did see the amount of cayenne pepper that you put into that sauce at the very beginning. So the cooling yogurt might be just the thing.
And some fresh cilantro.
Gorgeous. How beautiful.
I can't wait for you to try this sauce.
Don't have to wait long. All right, I'm gonna tuck in a little bit of that chicken.
I love this sauce. And up until now, I have never been a huge fan of cumin.
Really?
But this is different. There are layers of flavor, but it was so easy to put together.
This is like a beautiful warm blanket. Just so toasty. The flavors are gorgeous, but it's enrobing that chicken, all of that flavor, and it's so juicy inside.
Yep.
This is beautiful. It's very comforting. Could eat a lot of this.
Downright craveable.
It is downright craveable. Thanks so much for making it for us, Julia.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, if you'd like to make this cumin-centric dish at home, it starts by marinating drumsticks in a garlic, ginger, and yogurt mixture. Simmer the chicken with onions and tomatoes, and add toasted and ground cumin seeds right before serving. So from all of us here at Cook's Country, a very lovely Kombdi Jira Ghalun and raita.
I can't get enough of these flavors.
Love what you're watching? Take your cooking to the next level with our Essential membership. Get instant access to thousands of recipes, tips, techniques, product reviews, and step-by-step videos. Our members app allows you to search by ingredient, set dietary preferences, and save your favorite recipes. For those looking to level up, our newest feature, ATK Classes, offers more in-depth instruction led by ATK experts so you can gain greater confidence in the kitchen. Start your free trial by visiting the App Store or going to americastestkitchen.com/YouTube today. humans have been gathering honey for over 8,000 years, and you'll find it in all sorts of things, from medicines and cosmetics, and of course, it's a great ingredient to use when cooking. Now today, you'll find all types of honey at the supermarket, and Jack's gonna tell us more.
Yeah, we actually tasted 15 honeys.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you're only doing 4 today. Everything you're gonna taste is raw. Most of them are unfiltered. And you're really gonna have a lot of fun with this. So you can dig in.
Okay.
Now, when you're shopping, probably the most important thing is you wanna buy raw honey.
Okay.
If heat is applied, it will slow down the crystallization process. So there's a reason why they might apply heat, but it destroys flavor.
Yeah.
And so you really wanna get the nuance of whatever those bees were living with. And so heat is the enemy of complex flavor. Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
This is really
I'm
good.
already liking this.
So the second thing is, are you getting a blended or polyfloral honey, which means that the bees were eating lots of different things as opposed to a monofloral. It's kind of what it sounds like, is that the bees are predominantly getting nectar from a single plant. A minimum of 20%, typically up to 60% coming from that plant. So you might get buckwheat or tupelo or orange blossom, and that would be, if the majority of the lifespan of the bees was spent with those flowers, then it's a monofloral.
Okay.
Those are going to be much more diverse.
Yeah.
Everything from marshmallows to peat to citrusy, depending on the flower and plants that the bees were living with.
Whoa, that is a distinctive flavor.
Yeah, so what is that?
It reminds me of when I smell bourbon, sort of that sort of aged smoky oak, almost like it was by a campfire.
And I think that's the beauty of the monoflorals. It's almost like wine in the sense it's reflecting the terroir. And if it's from the fall, it can have a much stronger flavor than if it's an early season honey. And so,
Well, this one's a different color.
Yeah.
Not to tell you the obvious.
yeah, so this is a creamed honey. So typically crystallization is kind of the enemy, right? So creamed honey, they're trying to get it to crystallize. They're actually adding a little bit of crystallized honey to the rest of the honey, or they're actually whipping it to sort of encourage the formation of crystallization. And basically you get something like lemon curd texture. Like, think of this, if I brought you a warm buttery scone.
Oh, it is kind of just a natural topping.
Yeah, cornbread. It's really, think of it almost like instead of jam.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful creamed honey. This is obviously super creamy. It's got a sort of floral flavor, I think. You said smoke?
Smoky tree, campfire. This was fruity. And you kept naming fruits, and every time you named a fruit, I think, oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. I originally thought cherry, but then you said orange. And so, yeah, very distinctive fruity flavor. And this one, this is what I grew up with. I grew up with the honey bear. This was the flavor. I always think it's clover or something kind of generic.
Okay, let's start down at the end.
Okay.
So this is Nature Nate's. This is the best-selling honey in the US. We like it. It is a raw, unfiltered honey. It is polyfloral, so it's got a middle-of-the-road flavor in the sense that no one attribute is standing out.
Yeah.
It's sweet, it's delicious, it's complex, but it doesn't immediately scream one single flavor note.
That's right.
This one is from a company called Brightland, and it's orange blossom. And you mentioned citrus, and I really feel like you get the fruitiness, and there's a little bit of acidity to it as well that balances some of the sweetness, because of course honey is really sweet.
Yeah. It's a distinctive flavor. That would be fun to cook with.
Yeah, and these are really delicious if you want to make like baklava or some honey-forward dessert. That would be a great choice.
And then this one, this wild child.
Yeah, so this is Bee Harmony. Now this is buckwheat.
Oh, okay.
And so buckwheat honeys have a much darker color, more robust, you said smoke, tobacco notes, roasted oak. I mean, it is big, it's bold. I think if you were trying to make something delicate, this might be a lot in this, but it's so delicious. Like, think of this as over pancakes. Any place you'd want to use maple syrup, buckwheat honey is nice because it's got a lot of personality. And then this last one is from a company called Shelburne Honey Company, and it's a creamed honey. And we just thought it was really delicious. It's sort of mild and floral and creamy and wonderful.
I love it. Thank you, Jack, for walking me through all this.
So I got to ask, so you're going to get to take one home. Who's coming home with you?
You know what? I would go with this guy. It was such an unusual flavor. I wasn't expecting almost that molassesy sort of nuance, that heartiness. I would actually use this in a lot of savory cooking just to give a little oomph.
All right, I think I can arrange for a bottle to go home with you tonight.
Thank you, Jack. Clearly, there's a lot to learn here about honey.
There is.
And if you want to learn even more, check out our website.
Love our in-depth reviews? Get the latest from our reviews team delivered straight to your inbox. Our well-equipped cook newsletter provides top product picks, no-nonsense buying guides, and must-try recipes. No extra fluff, just the smartest ways to shop, save, and cook. Sign up for free now at americastestkitchen.com/newsletter.
Hot honey is a hot culinary trend. It's a simple concept, honey infused with chilies. But thanks to entrepreneur Mike Kurtz, it's popping up on brunch menus, pizza, and cheese boards all over the country. Kurtz founded Mike's Hot Honey in 2010. But the idea came years earlier, on a trip to Brazil, where Mike tasted hot honey for the first time on a pizza. Inspired by the sweet and spicy combination, Mike started experimenting with his own infusions, eventually selling his hot honey products out of a Brooklyn pizzeria. While it might be a trendy condiment today, in the past, spiced honey was used as a medicinal remedy. In the Dixie Cookbook, published in 1883, editor Estelle Wilcox suggests a mixture of horseradish, vinegar, and honey for a cold. But she doesn't mention anything about pizza. But whether you use it to treat a cold or dress up a savory dish, here at Cook's Country, we agree that honey and chilies are a match made in heaven. So we put them to work in a great recipe we call Hot Honey Chicken.
Hot honey chicken has become all the rage, and you see it popping up on menus everywhere. But Morgan's been eating it since you were just a little kid because your grandmother used to make it.
Yeah, so this is my grandmother's recipe. Her name was Wanda, but I knew her as Moo Moo.
Aww.
And like many grandmother recipes, it was very short. It was essentially an ingredient list and instructions to bake.
Yep.
So I had a lot of fun channeling her in my cooking for this. So I'm starting with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and a teaspoon of cumin. And this is gonna be my rub for the chicken. So I'm just gonna combine these. So here we have a 4.5-pound chicken. I'm gonna break it down to get 3 pounds of pieces.
Okay.
I always start mine between the drumstick and the breast, so I like to just do a little nick and start to see what I'm doing. And then I use my knife, and I feel like you can actually just sort of follow the natural cuts of the bird. So then I actually take it, flip it over, bend it back, and I use my knife to go along the back side of it. And I like to do the wings. I think this is something I learned actually from Brian Roof, to use the gravity of the bird, and then you can kind of go along the natural curve. And I'm not actually using these wings, but these will be a treat for my freezer later. So I'm gonna set those aside. I think a lot of people use their knives here. I love just using kitchen shears to get the backbone out. I feel like it's so easy, and it's like less risk of cutting yourself. It's always good. Anything that gives me more control, it's great. Okay, that I'm also gonna save for stock. And then here you can actually just follow the natural breastbone, and you just get your knife as close to one side of that as you can. And then I like to kind of just go in. Sometimes I turn around and use the heel of the knife to get through the thicker part.
Nicely done.
Thank you. So I always cut the breast in half, but since this side's a little thicker, to make it cook evenly, I actually give a little bit more distance down here. So do that. Okay, so now I have 3 pounds of broken down chicken. So I'm gonna just pat it dry. And now I'm just gonna season it. This is just that cumin and salt, and just sprinkle it all over. Okay, so I'm just gonna wash my hands, and then we get to start cooking.
Okay.
Julia, I have a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I've been heating over medium-high heat in an oven-safe skillet. It's a 12-inch skillet. I really want it to be nice and smoky, so sometimes I actually like get down and make sure I can see some tendrils of smoke.
Get on eye level.
Yeah, and you can see it's really nice and hot.
I see it.
So that's just gonna help get some nice browning on here. So I'm just gonna add this chicken, skin side down. Sizzle's always a nice sound. And I'm gonna let this go 4 minutes aside until it's nice and brown. Now, while that cooks, I said it's hot honey. We've got the stuff for hot honey. Here, I have 1/4 cup of Frank's. So this is my own spin. Moo Moo didn't specifically call for Frank's hot sauce, but I love it because it gives it a little nod to buffalo chicken. And yeah, it's just delightful. And then, of course, 1/4 cup honey.
All right, so what was the ratio of hot sauce to honey?
Equal parts.
Equal parts.
Yeah, I want it sweet and hot.
Okay.
And then I have 2 minced garlic cloves. And that's pretty much that.
I love it.
So it's been 4 minutes. And it's looking nice and brown.
Oh, gorgeous.
I feel like you always want to wait and make sure it's releasing from the pan. Otherwise, you know you haven't gone long enough. If you do it and it's like sticking here, you're like, nope, not long enough. So I'm gonna let these go another 4 minutes on the other side, get some nice browning, get some fat rendering out and that skin nice and crisp, and then we'll add our honey mixture.
Okay.
Okay, it's been 4 minutes, and the bottom sides of these guys are looking nice and brown.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull them over. I'm actually gonna keep them skin side up here. I wanna keep that skin nice and crisp. And there's not a ton of fat in here, but there's a little bit, and it can vary every time you make this. So I do like to pour off the fat, just because you can then control the greasiness, and we don't want this to be greasy. Okay, so I'm gonna add these pieces right back in the skillet. Now it's time to add the hot honey. I'm just gonna take our delicious hot honey and drizzle it right over the chicken in the skillet. So, it's like a little cloaking of hot honey.
So this pan is off the heat, but it's all that residual heat making that sauce bubble.
Yeah, exactly. But it's actually helping get up some of that fond, which is kind of nice. But I'm actually not going to keep cooking this on the stove. I'm going to move it to the oven. I'm going to bake this in a 425-degree oven on the middle rack. I'm going to cook it until the breasts register 160 degrees and the thighs register 175 or over is fine. It's going to take 17 to 22 minutes. If the breasts actually hit 160 before the thighs, I might even pull them out because I really don't want the breast meat to overcook. Ooh, it's looking so good.
Oh, it's bubbling.
It is. I know that honey is bubbling. Okay. Like I said, I'm looking for 160 degrees here in this breast. And it's 161.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I might just check a thigh too, just for good measure.
Right, the thighs need to be 175 or higher.
Yeah, so that's actually 190. So I'm actually gonna let this rest in the pan for 10 minutes. The chicken's gonna give off a little more juice, and then we'll use that to build a sauce. Our hot honey chicken is rested 10 minutes, and I'm gonna pull this chicken out.
Look at those gorgeous drippings.
Okay. I'm gonna use this to make a nice sauce. So I'm just gonna bring this to a boil over medium-high heat.
Looking for like a glazy consistency.
Yeah, exactly. I want it to go just until it's thickened, which will take 1 to 2 minutes. Honestly, I think this is looking really good. It's looking nice and thick. Those bubbles are starting to get a little slower, which is a really nice sign. When the whisk goes through it, you can actually see a nice little line. It's what we want.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna reduce this to low and whisk in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that I've cut into 2 pieces and 2 teaspoons of lime juice. It adds this nice like punch of acidity, and also I just feel like lime and honey and hot sauce are such a good pair.
Such a good pairing.
The butter is nice and melted and our sauce is glazy. I'm gonna pull this off heat, and over the chicken this goes.
Oh,
I know, right?
that's beautiful. My mouth has started watering.
I know.
Really pretty badly.
I hope we're doing Moo Moo proud. So I have 2 scallions that I thinly sliced, and I'm just gonna sprinkle these over top. Just, you know, a little lipstick. Gotta make it look nice and pretty.
Little lipstick. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is really pretty.
Your grandmother really knew how to cook.
Oh yeah. So what if I give you a thigh? This one looks really nice and glazy. And then maybe a little piece of breast over here too.
Yes, please. Perfect.
Oh. And there's a little extra sauce in there. Can I add a little more to yours?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
I was hoping you'd ask that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this sauce, it's like a perfect marriage of hot sauce, honey, and chicken juice. I'm like, let's lean in.
Thank you. Perfectly cooked thigh.
Yeah, I hope it's nice and tender.
It's bright right off the bat. Then you get the honey, and then there's a little kick at the end. That's delicious.
Yeah, I feel like the acidity in this between the lime juice and the hot sauce is so nice, but you also get this sweet, it's like a nice sweet heat.
Yeah.
I feel like it like takes chicken, and I love chicken, but it's just like such a bold take on chicken.
But it's not too much. I mean, I could easily serve this to a group of kids and they'd be totally happy. It's not overpowering.
Yeah, I mean, I ate this when I was a little kid. I feel like it's approachable for all ages.
Morgan, this is fantastic, and it's so easy to do on a weeknight.
Yeah, it's so quick. That's part of the reason I love it.
Thank you for sharing your Moo Moo's recipe with us.
Oh, thank you for cooking with me.
If you want to make this weeknight sweet and spicy chicken, start by browning the chicken in an oven-safe skillet, add honey, hot sauce, and a few aromatics to the pan, and finish the sauce with butter and a little lime juice. From Cook's Country, with special thanks to Morgan's Moo Moo, a great recipe for hot honey chicken. You can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season, along with select episodes and our product reviews at our website, cookscountry.com/TV. This is killer.
Yeah, I feel like my family's gonna be so excited.
If you're ready to take your cooking to the next level, head over to americastestkitchen.com and get a free trial of our ATK Essential membership. While you're there, you can sign up for our free email newsletters and download our app. So, what are you waiting for?